Released on September 15th of 2015, Undertale has become well known for having one of the most popular speedruns of all time. Requiring the mastery of button mashing, precise movement, and dozens of frame-perfect glitches, it's no wonder these speedrunners have been able to do crazy things. But why listen to me talk about those skills when you can see for yourself? I'm Orisaey, and it's time to speedrun the 1 hour, 21 minute, and 37 second true Pacifist world record of Undertale. Oh, and this run is by Mr. Link2k, so go check them out using the link in the description. Also, only 2% of you are actually subscribed, so hit the button and the bell as hard as you can. It really helps out the channel and lets me know what games you want to see in the future. Starting the clock upon naming himself Zed, Link skips through the intro cutscene, goes through this door, and walks up to FLOWEY. As our runner mashes through the plant's text, gets shot with supposed venomous pellets, and exposes the monster's ulterior motives. Saved by TORIEL at the last minute, he blasts through her speech and heads into the ruins, before pulling these levers, sparing this dummy, fleeing this rocket, and being taken across these spikes. After walking through this long hallway, Link falls through the ground and deactivates these spikes, leading him through this maze, these 2 phone calls, this rock sarcasm, and towards Napsterblook. By cheering for 4 turns straight, the ghost can easily be spared, taking our runner to the lever in this hole, the colour-coded switches in these rooms, and the goat waiting for us up ahead. Entering TORIEL's house, Link is taken to his new room, where he sleeps the night and collects the butterscotch pie, before talking to her about how to leave the ruins themselves, being taken to its exit, and starting an encounter. Sparing through the battle's 12 turns, Link gets hit with 6 hand attacks and 6 flame attacks, as TORIEL relents, hugs him, and lets him leave, before speaking to FLOWEY one last time, triggering the title screen and entering SNOWDIN. Walking through the forest and reaching these gates, our runner meets Sans, hides behind this perfectly shaped lamp, and mashes through Papyrus's text, leading him to replenish his health, collect the tough glove, and equip it instantaneously. From here, Link mashes through the brothers' cutscene and flees from this snowdrake, before encountering Dogo, throwing the stick to spare him, sliding over the ice, and starting his clean sweep of Papyrus's puzzles. Cutting corners through the electric maze, and walking straight past the Monster Kid's word search, our runner takes a quick intermission to spare Dokumi and Dogoressa with the same stick from earlier. After doing so, Link moves on to complete this pair of EXO puzzles by changing them around and flipping this switch, prior to being so confused by this multicolour tile puzzle that he can skip it altogether. Blasting through the final puzzle, he slides through the trees and encounters Greater Dog, who again falls to this stick and spare combo, taking Link into the gauntlet of terror that is quickly disarmed as Papyrus lets him leave unscathed and enters SNOWDIN proper. Using these igloos to get from one end to the other, Link quickly walks down this hallway and starts to fight against Papyrus, before throwing the stick for a 4th and final time, dying several times after running into the skeleton's attacks, and repeating this until the skeleton himself decides to stop fighting. Walking up to Papyrus's house, he goes inside up these stairs and through this door to start the date itself, during which he mashes, throws compliments, and discovers this hidden spaghetti, maxing out the friendship bar, completing the date, and leading him to Waterfall. In Waterfall, Link avoids these rocks, moves up 2 pixels, and mashes through Papyrus and Undyne's conversation, before moving straight down, holding right, opening this menu, and calling TORIEL in the span of 5 frames to skip the following cutscene. From here, he constructs 2 flower bridges, gets a call from Papyrus, and flees both Aaron and Woshua, prior to opening the secret door, being chased by Undyne, and sacrificing Monster Kid. Up ahead, Link purchases an ice cream from this vendor, which incidentally allows him to get the most powerful item in the game, the punch card. You see, by using this card correctly in specific situations, you can perform exploits such as cutscene skips, wrong warps, overflow tricks, and several advanced techniques, all of which will be explained once they're actually necessary. Speaking of necessary, our runner run warps by holding down on the screen transition and opening the punch card, sending him further down the path as he ditches more monsters, skips more phone calls, and opens the punch card on the right pixel to skip Oni-san's cutscene altogether. Run warping yet again, and fleeing Shyren, Link finds Monster Kid, skips 2/3 of his text boxes, overflows him by opening the punch card, and presses both Z and Enter sequentially, allowing him to gain movement during this text and no clip over this ledge. Reaching this set of bridges, he skips the cutscene that triggers the spear chase and run warps through the area, leading him to get caught by UNDYNE as he falls into the garbage dump. To skip the mad dummy, Link overflows this object and mashes through all but one text box, before moving to the bottom of the room, opening the punch card, and starting the battle. In battle, he dies as fast as possible to complete the skip, before repeating all but the last step to skip Napstablook altogether. Following the path without activating any mushrooms, Link then overflows his flower, opens and closes the punch card, and mashes through this UNDYNE cutscene, reducing his walking distance as he warps twice more. After this, Link avoids Monster Kid and approaches the fight against UNDYNE, before moving up the path, skipping the first and second cutscene trigger, opening the punch card during her text, and run warping to begin the chase sequence. As UNDYNE catches up to our runner, he challenges her for 3 turns, spares her for 2, and gets down to 6 health on the next, allowing him to flee the battle, mash through another phone call, skip both the dehydration and water cooler cutscenes, and run warp into HOTLAND. Entering ALPHYS' lab, Link enters the spotlight and overflows this object to walk straight past the lizard herself, before leaving, mashing through notifications, fleeing this falcon, using these conveyor belts, run warping, and approaching these vents. By punch guarding this vent in particular and holding both down and left, Link easily launches out of bounds, encountering Thunderplane, taking the burnt pan and stained apron, and carting 2 more vents to launch over the lava below. In the laser room, he brute forces ALPHYS' phone call, opens the punch card, battles these beams, and skips the entire deactivated passage, prior to menu buffering towards this vent, carting yet again and flying straight through this door. Using the punch card to launch across the room, Link completely skips his first encounter with the robot METTATON, leading him to backtrack to regain the use of his menu, flick these switches, navigate even more vents, and ditch these royal guards. Run warping into the newsroom with the text of said guards, our runner punch cards and advances to the end of ALPHYS' phone call, before avoiding the news trigger, mashing even further, and launching out of bounds to bypass METTATON's broadcast. Regaining his menu a second time, Link uses these vents to clip out of bounds and skip the entire puzzle, allowing our runner to circumvent this encounter with Moffat, and repeat this process with METTATON's musical finale. After all of this, Link enters the hotel and triggers his cutscene, letting him use the elevator, retrace his steps yet again, and enter the core. Through the core and its surroundings, Link is able to skip almost everything intended, and since this is the case, we might as well do this rapid fire. In the span of just over 2 minutes, our runner mashes through even more calls, skips his mandatory battle, dodges activated lasers, punch cards deactivated beams, run warps through several rooms, overflows his pair of puzzles, equips the burned pan and stained apron, walks straight through METTATON, phases straight through the long elevator, enters the capital, and reaches new home. Inside the capital, Link encounters Froggets and grabs his key, before skipping Whismers, confronting them anyway, grabbing a second key, running into more enemies, skipping Sans' judgment, run warping, and starting the battle with Asgore. Over the span of 10 turns, our runner lowers the king's stats by using the butterscotch pie, hits 8 quads in a triplet, and avoids everything thrown at him, prior to defeating him and making way for your best nightmare, Photoshop Flowey. Weaving through the flower's projectiles, Link persists through 6 phases of knives, gloves, ballet shoes, books, pans, and guns, before closing the game, enduring a barrage of bullets, defeating the JPEG, getting the neutral ending, and backtracking for true Pacifist. Our runner's first stop is Waterfall, where he meets up with both PAPYRUS and UNDYNE. Prior to witnessing whatever this is, mashing through the date, cooking some food, burning her house to the ground, doing lackluster damage, and receiving a letter for ALPHYS. Link's next stop is HOTLAND, where he slides said letter under this door and bears witness to a sea of text, before ending up in the garbage dump as ALPHYS' date, being overheard, seeing the diner's confession, ending the date on a good note, and entering True Lab. Rung-whooping through its halls, Link navigates the facility by fighting Memory Head, Lemon Bread, and Snowdrake's mother, skipping Reaper Bird, collecting and activating all 4 colored keys, meeting Endegeny, being saved by ALPHYS, and returning to Asgore. Before the rematch begins, TORIEL steps in to stop the fight itself, as PAPYRUS, Sans, ALPHYS, UNDYNE, and the Underground's monsters arrive just in time for FLOWEY to absorb their souls. Against ASRIEL Dreamer, the game's final boss, Link spares repeatedly and avoids several barrages of stars, lightning bolts, swords, and bullets, before witnessing Hypergunner, saving his friends, getting ass blasted into the decimals, ignoring ASRIEL, and returning to the surface, meaning the run ends with the final time of 1 hour, 21 minutes, and 37 seconds. As with most speedruns today, the Undertale True Pacifist any percent speedrun is one that requires a lot of skill. There are so many battles, glitches, and text boxes involved that it's no wonder most people don't attempt this category, but those that do are truly in a league of their own. On the 1st of May, we'll be covering Deltarune Chapters 1 and 2, but in the meantime, if you want me to break down the speedrun of one of your favourite games, then by all means suggest it in the comments, and I'll see you guys next month. Orisaey out.